How's it going, everybody? Sean Ross here, and I'm here to bring you guys my review on My Hero Academia manga chapter 157, Infinite 100%. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that last page has me hyped for this final confrontation between Deku and Overhaul. Getting a brief glimpse at Deku finally harnessing One for All, full Cowl, 100% with the assistance of Eri and her quirk has me hyped. But what I'm really glad with the content that we got in this chapter is that I can definitely tell there are going to be consequences following the events of this battle and this arc. Because when you look back on My Hero Academia arcs, there's always been consequences following each and every arc. And I can definitely tell that, especially with Deku about to, go 100% with One for All, full Cowl, there's going to be some consequences there. But also, we're kind of getting more information here and there on how Eri's quirk works. And what I really liked about this chapter is that it definitely clarified that Eri does not have full control of her quirk yet. She is still a young child, and no one's told her what her quirk does, how to control it, and what she can do with it. She's kind of just learning as she's going along in this chapter, and I really do like that Horikoshi definitely spelt that out for us, for all the people that were just worrying, with this new rewind ability that would just kind of like Deus Ex Machina everyone's events. I don't think that is the case just yet, because Horikoshi has shown time and time again that with each and every arc, there are consequences that follow. And there are definitely going to be a few consequences, whether it be with Sir Night Eye, Togata, Deku, Eri, Overhaul, something bad, or not even bad, but there's just going to be consequences popping up by the end of this arc. But this chapter in particular has me hyped for the events to come, and also I really loved the emotional moments and the emotional support that Deku kind of gave to Eri throughout this entire chapter. Him basically declaring that's like, I'm not going to let you go, I'm not going to, bring you back into the clutches of Overhaul, I will protect you with my life. And also, I love the emotional moment with the second to last page with Deku tying Eri to his back with Lemillion's cape. Like, that right there symbolizes so much, not only for Eri's, breaking away and finally, trying to get out of the clutches of Overhaul, but that's the emotional support that gave that push to Eri to actually try to get out of this terrible situation. So I'm just hyped to talk about this chapter because there are just some cool things just to dive into and discuss. So let's start back all the way at the beginning of this chapter, where it picks up where last chapter's cliffhanger left off with, Eri escaping the clutches of a now disassembling Overhaul and Nemoto, still holding Togata's cape and falling down into the embrace of Deku. And we have Deku adding very good emotional support, basically telling her, everything is going to be okay, I'm going to protect you, I will protect you with my life no matter what. And then we switch over to page 2, which has to be probably one of the best pages, I think, besides the last two in this chapter, because it's a fantastic double spread of a page. The art in this page is very, very good to look at. We see Deku, holding on to Eri with his dear life, with Togata's cape fluttering in the wind, but it's the bottom right panel in between Chisaki's fingers you have to pay attention to, because this kind of foreshadows that kick that Deku ends up delivering a few pages later on. You see Eri activating her quirk while in the embrace of Deku. Deku doesn't realize it at that very moment because he doesn't know what Eri's quirk is. But while that's happening, we have this awesome shot of Overhaul reaching down for Eri, screaming, give her back. And Deku now realizes, like, wait a minute, he's coming after me. I'm in midair. I cannot dodge this. So the best course of action he decides to take after, a little bit of an inner monologue in his mind, remembering what it means to be a hero, and him saying the lines, the kind of hero that wipes away everyone's worries, always wins and saves everyone. So he decides to deliver a full powered kick that he believes is going to be an 8% powered kick. But he doesn't realize that with Eri activating her quirk, he's able now to access, 100% of One for All's full power. But I love the buildup in this because you see Chisaki, activating his quirk, activating the ground to form tentacles to go in and attack Deku. And as Deku is about to deliver his kick, he ends up disappearing out of sight. And this kind of catches Overhaul off guard, because as soon as he realizes he's gone, there's this huge explosion on top of the ceiling. And what ends up happening is that Deku ended up pushing through the ceiling, and he's like, wait a minute, what just happened? And he realizes, I just delivered a 100% One for All kick, and I did not break my bones. What just happened? And I love the callback too of All Might's New Hampshire Smash that he kind of delivered during the final exams arc that was just recently adapted into the anime. I loved getting to see that pop up yet again in here. But just getting to see, you know, Deku slowly realize what just happened, that he was able to access 100% of his power. His legs aren't broken, but this is all thanks to Eri. But while he's up in the air, we actually make our way back to the main female squad of Ryukyu, of Froppy, and Uravity, you know, tending to Sir Night-Eye. But while they're kind of tending to him, Chisaki is disassembling and reassembling his arms, anything that is injured around him, and he ends up making his way over to Katsukame, the giant Hulkbuster-like dude that's unconscious on the ground. I love what he ends up doing because he ends up not only combining himself and Katsukame, but all of the rubble around them, and they end up turning into this monster of a form. But I'll get to that monster form in a little bit, because then it kind of cuts away to Ryukyu basically saying like, this is bad. We have Froppy about to go on and, you know, tend to Togata, who's off in the other room. But I love what Sir Night-Eye kind of says here, because he's kind of the Debbie Downer right now in this overall situation, because he can see the future. He knows of future events that are going to transpire. And he lets our female squad know, it's like, you guys don't really have anything to worry about. It's Midoriya and Eri that have to worry, because as soon as Overhaul makes his way up to the surface, Midoriya is going to be killed. But it's this line delivered by Ochako that I really like, and it really emphasizes, you know, basically the positivity that kind of comes from both Deku and Ochako, and that is, nobody knows what the future holds until it happens. I love that line because it kind of makes Sir Night-Eye remember what Deku said, where he's like, I'll twist the future. So he's just looking at this, he's like, Uravity, Ryukyu, please help me get to the surface. So that's basically all we're left right now with trying to wonder what Sir Night-Eye has planned right now. Why does he want to go to the surface? Will he end up sacrificing himself, you know, to save Midoriya and Eri? Is he actually going to fight alongside Uravity and Ryukyu? Odds are, in his current state, I don't really see that happening, but I'm really interested to see what type of plan Night-Eye has and what he plans on doing once he kind of gets up back to the surface. But speaking of going back to the surface, we end up, you know, going back to where Deku is slowly putting the pieces together as to why he was able to deliver a kick at 100%. And he's looking at his bones, his limbs, none of them are broken, all of his injuries have been healed, and he looks over at Eri and asks her the question, wait a minute, am I healed because of you? Is this your power? And in that moment, the pain comes rushing back to Deku. He feels like his body is being pulled apart. And he's slowly realizing, it's like, wait, even though she's able to heal all of my injuries, she's unable to control her power. And I love this section put into this chapter because it adds a little bit more detail into Eri's quirk. And it makes a lot of sense because if you think about it, Eri is a small child. She is just a little innocent girl who has no idea what her quirk actually does. She has been kept in the dark while being under the care of Overhaul. She doesn't know what her quirk does. She doesn't really know how to utilize it. And growing up, being under the care of Overhaul, being told the whole time that you lived a cursed life. Your quirk is a curse upon humanity. It kind of makes sense why Eri is the way she is, and while she doesn't have full control yet and hasn't really come to train under her quirk, because if she actually learned how to control her quirk and knew how to use it properly, I have a feeling that this next confrontation between Deku and Overhaul would be over in a snap. But because there are consequences to the actions of what have happened, Eri not knowing how to use her quirk, definitely we can see in the future that Deku is going to have a few consequences of actually accessing 100% of his power. But while all this is happening, Deku ends up saving Eri from like all of the ground, you know, spewing out from the underground, and we get a look at the new upgraded monster form of Overhaul. I love the overall design. It looks very, very cool. We have all of the rubble arms, and I'm counting at least like 7 or 8 limbs coming off of this gigantic beast, and we have this gigantic face with Overhaul basically assembled in the mouth. That is a cool design. I really like the overall design of this new upgraded form of the monster of Overhaul, and I'm really looking forward right now to the final confrontation between Deku and Overhaul, because as he's kind of looking at Deku and Eri, you know, he's looking down at them, basically giving a little bit more information about how Eri's quirk actually works, basically saying that she can rewind humans. Depending on how she uses it, she could probably revert a person to a monkey if she tried. If you continue to hold her like that, you'll disappear. So we're slowly getting more and more information about how Eri's quirk worked, but until we finally get that like definitive description and title for her quirk, it's still up in the air about how it actually works. But I really do like that we're slowly getting more and more information about how this rewind ability of Eri's works. But these last 2 pages right now have me so hyped, and it's on the second to last page where we see Deku basically tying Eri to his back with Togata's cape, with Lemillion's cape. This symbolizes so much for Eri's character because this cape right here is a symbol of hope and hopefully getting out of this terrible situation that she is in. It gives her that push that she needed to actually escape the grasp of Overhaul, to make her way over to Deku and to fight back from her oppressor, from her captor. I love that right there. That symbolizes so much, and just getting to see, you know, not only that, but then Deku basically telling Eri, you have such a kind and gentle quirk. And not many people would look at that line and say, oh, that means a lot, but it actually does, because saying something so nice about Eri, about her quirk, when she's grown up basically hearing her quirk is terrible, it's a curse on humanity, your quirk is a curse, but then you have this guy coming in trying to save you and telling you, you have such a kind and gentle quirk, that goes a long way right there. So I love that line. It kind of hit me right in the heart right there and made me just come to love and just hope that Eri ends up getting out of this arc, hopefully injury-free, and getting rescued by Deku and our gang of heroes. But then we make our way over to the final page with Deku basically asking Eri to lend him her power, her quirk, and he's going one for all, full cowl, 100%. Ooh, I am so hyped for next chapter, and judging by this and just by the title tag, you know, by the end of this chapter, we are slowly approaching the final confrontation of this arc, and I would bet by chapter 160, we will be at the end of this arc. But this last page in this overall chapter I thoroughly enjoyed, but it has me hyped for what is to come in chapter 158. And that is basically all I have to say about this chapter, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed what I have to say, and I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this chapter. How did you guys feel about the emotional moments and also the symbolism that kind of took place with not only Togata's cape, but also, you know, Deku saying those kind words to Eri about her quirk? Are you guys looking forward to this new confrontation with a 100% powered Deku going up against the upgraded monstrosity that is Overhaul? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, guys. I love you all so much, and I really look forward to talking about next week's chapter, which will be 158. But until then, I'll talk to you guys all later. And remember, guys, plus ultra.